Gospels. 24/7. Yeah, and more. The word, salvation, healing. 24/7. Right here. Gospels TV takes you high onto the sky. Gospels TV on sky takes you high. Yeah. Everything you need, everything you want, everything you think, everything you say. Gospels TV. Spread the word. Yeah, welcome once again here to GLoveRadio.us. Hi, my name is The G. As you know, we are live on GLoveRadio.us and also coming to you live on GTV Gospels Television. And it's that time again. Every Saturday, we bring you the news of the week. Last week, the Honorable was away gathering more news from within the United States of America, because very soon we shall also be bringing you things happening in the U.S., because I've been getting a lot of requests that, yes, not only news from Ghana, but they need news also from U.S., because people in Ghana are also watching us and they want to know what is happening in the Metroplex and our surroundings. So we shall be doing that. But without wasting any time, we're going to cross over and welcome the Honorable who has been away. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good.
And how was your trip?
The trip was good.
All right. We miss you and we are glad you're back.
Thank you so much.
All right. What do you have for us?
Well, welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you all for gathering once more this morning to take these very important proceedings, things that are happening in your country, Ghana, or our beloved nation. This morning I have gathered some few things that I believe strongly that you will be very interested in knowing some of these things that are taking place in Ghana currently. Among some of these headlines, Chief Justice promises equal justice for all. Very important. Man commits suicide over a woman. Of course, we know the court proceedings are going on. Chachu may force Baumia to confess, according to Alhaji Bature. And also a thriller in Malila will be in 2 weeks. These are some of the headlines. If time permits, hopefully we will continue with Parliament approved 35 deputy ministers. And Oye later orders demolition of brothels. Lack of integrity is cause of corruption in Ghana by Osebosu. And of course, we have doctors who feel they are entitled to their salaries. And also, Sole Commissioner accuses Attorney General's department for cooking cases. These are some of the headlines that hopefully time will permit us to bring them to you.
Yes, that was the headlines. But before we go, if it is that you want to make a contribution, you can always call the hotline 682-227-2276, 682-227-2276. You can also listen to us live on your phone. Honorable will give you the number that you'll be able to dial in. Honorable, let's have the first item that you have.
One of the exciting things that I believe strongly that our listeners should share is the daily minimum wage in Ghana has been raised. Very exciting news. This was published in the Joy online. Let me read a little bit excerpt. So the daily minimum wage is now pegged at 5 cedis and 24 pesos. It has been increased by 17 cents from 4 cedis, 48 pesos by the National Tripartite Committee, NTC, and the consultation of its 2013 National Daily Minimum Wage meeting that took place on April 30th, 2013. It takes effect from May 1st, which means that from last 1st May, things are going well. This was contained in a communique jointly signed by the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, Ni Ama Ashite for Government, the Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Employers Association, Alex Frimpong, for the President of GEA, and General Secretary for the Trades Union Congress, Kofi Asamoah, for Organized Labor. Any establishment, institutions, or organizations whose daily minimum wage is below the new daily minimum wage should adjust its wages upward accordingly.
That sounds good. That's a welcoming news for the wage increase, because of late there have been a lot of strike actions that is going on in the country, and my take on this is that, is it a reality? Does the minimum wage reflect the cost of living right now? Because you see, in Ghana and most African countries, we know that the corruption stems from the fact that what the people earn and what they spend is not equal. They spend more than they earn. So if you enter into any office, they expect you to pay bribes before you get your things done. You know, my sister just came back from Ghana, and she was crying that, wow, every single place. She told me of a story that was so funny. They went to a police station to get a permit for the funeral that was being organized, and at the charge office is, you know, like the reception area. When they entered, then they said they were here to apply for permits. The first thing the policeman who was on duty said, we have to drink cocoa before we listen to whatever you have come with, you know. So it's not, they have not even listened to you, but you have to put cocoa money down first before the policeman will even listen to why you are there to start with. So I am just hoping that the raise in the salaries would actually reflect the everyday living.
It is very important. It is very important to recognize that it is difficult. If you look at the production in Ghana, it really doesn't reflect the amount and the lifestyle that Ghanaians want to live. But every little increment that is acceptable, that can be afforded by the employers is welcome, because if you look at Ghana, there wasn't a very established system that people actually are aware. You know, a lot of people really think that, you know, you can pay anything to anybody, you know, provided you have agreed with that person on that terms and conditions. But there are actually laws that, you know, guard those things, and this particular minimum wage raise, I think it is very welcome. They believe that it can be sustained, and as it is right now, like you are mentioning, the corruption in Ghana, unfortunately, it is going to be something that is going to be very difficult to eradicate. But we will have to enlist the support of all the nationals, the citizens. Everybody have to chip in. If you are able to do your work, you know, making sure that you report anything you see, and, you know, make sure that some action is taken. I believe that you know, it won't be easy, but hopefully we will get there someday. We will quickly move over to the next item that we would like to talk about, which is very ongoing. We know that Justice Kpegah actually sued the flag bearer of the NPP, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. What he actually alleged was that Nana Akufo-Addo is impersonating one WAD Akufo-Addo, whose number is 1190, according to the bar records. So Nana should come to the court and prove himself. This case has been something that has generated interest in the whole nation. In fact, 2nd May was scheduled to hear that case. But the 2nd May, Justice Kpegah didn't show up. His lawyer showed up and, you know, presented something like, because of health problems, Justice Kpegah was not there. So it was rescheduled. And last week, the case was called, and the High Court judges dismissed the case, to the amazement of many. I mean, people were eager to listening to opening remarks of this particular case, but without any tangible reason from the judges, the case was dismissed, only citing frivolity. I mean, talking about the case is frivolous. But the lawyer for Justice Kpegah has also come out and promised people that, well, it is true that the case has been dismissed, but the proceedings will be followed, and they are going to come back in 2 weeks. This is what they wrote, and it was published in Joy Online. Let's listen to a little bit of an excerpt. Lawyer David Annan, who is counsel for Justice Kpegah, has assured they will be back in court to prosecute impersonation allegation they have filed against the new patriotic flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Annan said the case which his client Justice Kpegah has affectionately described as the thriller in Manila will be on in 2 weeks. His promise came after High Court threw out the case brought before it by the former Supreme Court judges for lack of evidence. Hours after the ruling was given, counsel for Justice Kpegah, David Annan, said they will be back maximum 2 weeks. He said the judge assumed that because they had not filed their affidavits in time for her to consider if she had to rule on the case. Well,
let me just make a yes. This when I heard this news, I was very disappointed, and I'm saying disappointed based on the fact that so much hype had gone into this case. So I am saying that it's Justice Kpegah wasting everybody's time, because he's not just an ordinary person. This is a man that has sat in the highest court of the land, and he knows law. So if there is that he had to file affidavits, of case, because the case was actually thrown out on lack of evidence. Okay, that is what the judge said. They did not go to the merits and demerits of the case. He just said that there was lack of evidence, meaning that the necessary affidavits for them to stand on was not filed. And for the lawyer of Justice Kpegah to come out and say that, just because they had not filed. I mean, they are wasting everybody's time. Though it is his right to go to court, as everybody is open to go to court whenever. But the fact that he was not punished, means that the court did not have anything against him. The court has a right to dismiss a case if, evidence is not presented enough. It means that we are not listening to the case, or we've not heard the case. So as it stands right now, the case has not actually been determined. You understand? Because normally if a case is determined and the case is thrown out, you are awarded cost. The cost of, the other side is awarded cost for wasting, because they've hired lawyers and everything. But no cost was awarded in this case. It means the case was not even determined at all. The judge just said, I don't have enough things. I set the date. This is the second hearing, and no affidavit is before me. That's why they are claiming that they would file an appeal and come back in 3 weeks' time with the relevant things. I think Justice Kpegah, if he doesn't have any hardcore proof, he should spare us this time and let us move on.
Issues concerning law, I'm not in no authority at all, and I tend to side with you because you know a thing or two. But it's unfortunate that this case, the level at which the media took it up, it generated a lot of interest. The whole nation was watching, because Nana Akufo-Addo, according to some circles, and of course some of us, we know, we read some of these things about him. He's a very accomplished person. His life going way back, when he organized this Justice and Freedom movement, very important personnel were part of that movement. And then his legacy of being an MP, Attorney General, and all the way coming to form a law firm, train a lot of lawyers, including most of these lawyers that are arguing cases in High Court and Supreme Court. And then coming up with this lawsuit against him, it was something that honestly, people were concerned. A lot of people could not believe that this thing can go on. So a lot of people are also waiting, because the rumor is that Akufo-Addo has no classmate. Akufo-Addo, there was some missing periods, in his resume that cannot be explained. So we are waiting for him to come and defend himself, which is fair. According to my personal opinion, I think it is fair. But for the case to be thrown out, well, the justices knows better. So let's hope. If David Annan, the lawyer for Justice Kpegah, has promised that they are going to come back in 2 weeks, let's see what they have, and hopefully it could put this case to rest. Now we will quickly move on to another issue of concern, which is the doctors in Ghana have been on strike for so many weeks, and there has been appeal from very important sources. First of all, Obasanjo from Nigeria, happens to be in Ghana, and he appealed to the doctors to consider the health of the Ghanaians. They haven't done anything wrong. They haven't played any part in this particular issue, so they should consider that and go back to the theaters and ensure that they're doing their jobs. It didn't go down well with them. President Mahama has appealed to them countless times. They still maintain their stand. Chiefs in Ghana, very important personalities in Ghana, have also appealed to them, and we haven't seen the end of the strike.
Honorable, let me just come in very quickly. Why is everybody appealing to the doctors to go back, and they are not appealing to the government to find money and give the doctors what they deserve? Because this is not just the doctors holding the country to ransom. Okay, it's their service conditions they are asking to be addressed. These people are, providing services to the nation, because in Ghana, majority of the hospitals are government-based hospitals. Korle Bu, Komfo Anokye, etc. Okay, and they are overwhelmed by the volume of work. Last week, I went on this case, and I was very passionate about it, because I don't understand. This is not the first time doctors have gone on strike in Ghana. It's something that happens all the time. And my question is that why wouldn't the government find the money and the resources needed to solve the problem? So I think that instead of people pleading that the doctors should go back to work without the issue being resolved, they should rather appeal to the government and ask the government to resolve the issue. They should find, because if parliamentarians are paid big time and they can still even walk out when they are still receiving ex gratia and what have you, then I have a problem when a medical doctor would have to deal with patients under harsh conditions and still not receive their pay. That is all they are asking for. Pay us for the work that we do. Is this too much to ask?
Well, if you look at it from that point of view, I think you have a very valid point. But bear in mind also that doctors have a very unique role in society, especially if they have to keep the citizens and the people healthy in order for production to go on. Now, it is not an issue of salaries that are not paid. You see, these conditions concern pensions and also the conditions of work, which is very important. In fact, everybody acknowledges that. And usually what happens is that when these employees or workers, have issue with salaries and stuff like that, there is always a process that they have to follow. And some of these processes are that the government established a tripartite committee, labor, government, and also a third party, and sit down and resolve this issue. Now, the appeal that people are appealing to the doctors is that they should go back to the negotiation table. In fact, they have a team that are negotiating these issues with the government. Now, it is very thorny issues because their demands are laid down. And the government is also looking at the coffers, how they can also be able to fulfill these demands without injuring other sectors. Because even though the work of the doctors are so crucial and so important, so are other sectors of the economy. So you cannot push all the pie to the doctors. You have to realize that when you do that, you have set a precedence. Then, of course, other sectors will also lay down their tools and say that, okay, we need this, we need that, we need it. If you can do this to the doctors, so you can also do it for us. Just like you mentioned that government was able to find money to pay the parliamentarians some of their arrears, ex gracias and stuff like that. Yes, it has actually entrenched the doctors not to even back down, because it is just ridiculous.
It is.
How could you do that? I mean, you are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars going to single people.
Exactly. And that is my point.
And the doctors who work day and night, sometimes
they'll be at home, then they'll call them.
They don't have life. They don't have life. If somebody may think that they make all this money, they don't even have time to spend them, because every time they have to be in the theaters, they have to be called from their, it is just unfortunate that have to be happening in Ghana. But somebody posed a question to one of the doctors, one of the leaders, and said, well, have you been paid? Because you've been sitting home for a month. Did you receive your salaries? They said, yes, we are entitled to our salaries because we have worked. It was kind of like, well, you've been sitting home. This is a problem that Ghana has. People lay down their tools, but they still get their money, which is unfair. But if you look at it from that point of view also, it is unfair. If you are on strike, you don't have to receive anything. But the laws that guards these things are a little bit murky, and maybe we need an expert to come in and explain those type of laws, how people can go to strike and still receive their pay, and will not listen to anybody at all until their demands are met. Hopefully we can get somebody to clear that up. So that is that for the doctors. Unfortunately, that's what we have, but life still goes on. I hope that something will happen and they will also resign their decisions and then go back to the theaters. To me, Dr. Bawumia is a fine Ghanaian. In fact, I think he has done extremely well under the conditions that he finds himself. Look, if you are being cross-examined by very, very, very experienced attorneys, people like Tony Little, people like Kwashi Indum, people like Chachu, these guys has been around for a very long time. They have tried so many, many cases, and they are very experienced. But you can see clearly, if you look at some of the proceedings, if you've been able to have the opportunity to see some of the proceedings on the television, you will come across some things that are admirable. I mean, it depends on the party you belong. Some people will see it strictly from NDC point of view. Some people will also see it strictly from a NPP point of view. But if you want to cast aside your party affiliations and really take a look at what is going on, the proceedings, how people are carrying themselves, the way questions are being put forward, the way the cross-examinations are going, you can't help but just smile and just admire the Ghana system of Supreme Court proceedings. I mean, that is my take.
Kofi Juma. Kofi Juma.
Yeah.
Is that
Juma?
Juma?
Yeah.
He came on radio and said that Chachu is the worst of all the lawyers that he's seen, that his performance is zero. So like you rightly said, it depends on where you stand on the political divide. I don't believe that court cases are there to determine who does well and who does not do well. Court cases deals with facts. Somebody can perform very brilliantly. If he doesn't have the facts, it's a no contest. And then somebody can perform badly. But if the facts, because the judges are judges of law, and law has to deal with facts and technicalities of the law. So performance, as we view it, the ordinary people that see back, that is why when this trial started, people were judging it on entertainment level. It is not interesting. It is boring. Oh, this is it, because people think that so long as we are seeing it on TV, it should be like LA Law, where people just come and stand there and rattle, and then, but it's not about that. We want to know whether John Mahama stole the elections. That is the meat of the case. Did he steal? If he stole, then he should be stripped of his presidency. If he did not steal, if there is enough evidence to prove that he did not steal, then the country should move on. This is where my concern lies. How do we move the country forward? If the president is not a legitimate president, then he has no business being the president. If the president is a legitimate president, then let us respect his office and help him to rule the nation, so that the nation can move to the next level. So I am not too much inclined about gimmicks, about who has done what. My interest is the country moving forward. That is my take on this case.
Yes, I agree 100%, because we as observers who have no law backgrounds. We really expect some type of entertainment, and we see things in their face value. The way people answer questions, the way the questions are put across. It may be exciting, it may be entertaining, it may be interesting, it may not. And that is the way we will see it. But like you said, the judges know what they're looking for. And those who are in that profession, they know the kind of questions they need to ask. And those who are also sitting down to answer those questions, probably they've been briefed by their attorneys what to say and what not to say. Some things you may think that you will say it and help you, but it may not. At the end of the day, it may be the cause of some problems that you are going to encounter. So let us put our fingers crossed. Now the case has been adjourned again. I think they've been sitting on this for the past 8 days or 10 days. So things are going on very smoothly. In fact, if you are anywhere in Ghana or anywhere around the world and a Ghanaian, this is what you have to be proud of. Everything is moving on very smoothly, very methodically. So let's all keep our fingers crossed. Those insults that goes on in the airwaves and in the media and written record, please ignore all those things and just look at the Supreme Court, and hopefully the 9 judges will come up with something that will be acceptable to all of us so the country can move forward. And also another sad event that happened over in course of the week was a guy, they said he's from Delaware. He came in here and he has just got here and started his processing his documents and stuff like that. So he was not very well known in the community. But in about 3 days, he hasn't shown up at work. So the authorities at work begin to get some concern. And they try to find out where he lives and all those type of things. And unfortunately, they got police to go and break his apartment, and he's dead. Wow. He's been dead in the room for about 3 days. And he's a Ghanaian. His name is Sami Bunsu. And they're trying to locate his relatives. And fortunately, there was a guy who knew him. So they contacted their relatives in Ghana. And they are making preparations how they can get in touch with the hospital and then come down here. You see, this boils down to the fact that there's a lot of people that travel to the United States. And once they get here, they kind of get some kind of brainwash that Ghanaians talk too much, Ghanaians are campaign, Ghanaians, so they don't want to get involved in Ghanaian activities. Now, when that is the way you think, then I'm putting it to you right now that you need to change your mind. Because these same Ghanaians that you think you shouldn't associate with, we are the same people who will show up if something happens. Now, this guy has decided to isolate himself. Look at what has happened to him, and nobody even know. He doesn't belong to any church. He doesn't belong to any association. So, of course, when the parents get here, they will go ahead and negotiate for the body and take him or whatever. But there won't be a lot of help from anybody. Because being involved in the community is not cheap. It's expensive. I mean, you got to acknowledge that it is expensive, and somebody got to foot those type of bills. Every weekend, somebody had a baby, somebody is dead, we go to funerals, somebody is getting married, we go to weddings. You go in there, you support the person with $10 or $20 or even $50 if you can afford. It's good thing. It keep the community going. Keep the community together, it keep the community strong. But if you decide to leave yourself out, what I would advise is at least find a church. Find a church and be part of that church and let your pastor know you. As small as that church may be, it will still be able to be meaningful when something like this happens. But if you decide to completely isolate yourself and nobody knows, this place already, the system itself is designed for you to be alone. So it is for you to make the effort to get out of your room and go see another person and talk to him. Because you can live here, I can guarantee you can live here a whole week or even a month without talking to anybody. Because you go to work, you use your card to clock in. You don't talk to your foreman, you don't talk to your supervisor. And you go straight to your workstation. And if you have a job that doesn't interact with other people, that means you are there by yourself.
That's right.
That's right. If there is any information, they will send you an email.
That's right.
And you clock out and go home. You haven't talked to anybody the whole day.
That's right.
You don't need to live a life like that. There are people around. Come outside, Talk to people you may not even know. You may meet your person from your hometown or somebody you know from school, and then you can bond together. So it is very important for all of us in this country, all of us, to ensure that this lonely lifestyles really doesn't pay. Get out there and be part of something.
Get out there and be part of something is where we live off. It's a very sad note that some Ghanaian had just passed away here. He didn't have a wife. He lived alone. It's very, very sad. This is where we will leave off today. My name is the G, and I've been here with the Honorable. We thank you for spending time with us, and God willing, next week, the same time, the same place. Don't do what we would not do. Honorable and I, we will take. You see, these days I don't even like the word honorable because it's been polluted. But anyway, we will see you next week, God willing. Stay blessed. We are out.
Gospels 24/7, yeah, and more. The word, salvation, healing, 24/7, right here. Gospels TV takes you high onto the sky. Gospels TV on Sky takes you high